Hello everybody, Russ here, looking over Matlock Bath, the Heights of Abraham in beautiful Peak District. Behind me, see me in the shadow, behind me is my restored CBR600. So brief story before I reveal it, I'll try not to be too boring. I bought one of these brand spanking new in March 1987. It's one of the few bikes I've fallen in love with just on the photograph. About 2 or 3 months after owning it, it fell over on some hot tarmac and got damaged, so I had it sprayed in race colours. I've also done a review on this bike about 10-11 years ago. So I picked it up for about £300. It was very tatty, and then after that I just put it away and didn't bother using it anymore. Throughout that, the exhaust totally rotted away and it was just sat there for a good 8 or 9 years until I decided to get it out and do it up. Now, a friend of mine, Rob, who's retired, he enjoys doing this for a hobby, so he completely stripped the bike down. Here's some photos for you. We sent everything off, got it blasted, got the frame redone, the swing arm, everything has been totally restored. We did, however, have a problem with the carburetors. They weren't just dirty, they'd lacquered inside, they were quite bad. So we took them to a friend of ours who's probably the best mechanic I've ever seen. His name's Dave from QMS in Nottingham. And he completely stripped the carbs down, gave them a really good clean out, and it's running as good as new. And now the reveal for the bike. This is the same bike that I reviewed 10-11 years ago. Isn't that beautiful? Rothmans were the racing colours of the time. Freddie Spencer amongst others. I've had the wheels stoved, obvious full respray from Dream Machine in Nottingham. Absolutely superb company. I've always had my work done with them. I managed to find a new old stock exhaust for it as well. The indicators aren't in the right place. I'm going to be taking those off and putting a bung in there, and the indicators belong there on that rail. They probably moved them in there because they're a bit neater. So let's go for a ride. These bikes at the time were the absolute dog's danglers. Oopsie daisy. They were the first of a new breed of Super Sport 600s. The best bike before this was the Kawasaki GPZ 600. They used to call it a Ninja. As you can see, the dash is nicely laid out. The orange against the black doesn't stand out massively. But everything on this bike just feels really tight. The brakes aren't brilliant. At the time they were. So maybe I'm just used to much better brakes now. The engine on this particular bike is absolutely crisp. The gearbox is lovely, the clutch is smooth. And the carburation, thanks Dave, is absolutely spot on. The horn, ooh, that'll scare people. There's some nice power to it, and it's got a lovely induction roar when you open it up. It's a shame the roads aren't as good as they could be at the moment. With cyclists everywhere. Boo! I never get it, cyclists! I'm unsubscribing from you now! Boo! And this particular one is the 1990 model, which has got about 8 to 10 horsepower more than the very first one that I bought. Although the bike looks essentially the same, they just did a few improvements. It's very responsive, and the handling on it is just so light and nimble. It's one of the first bikes that they were experimenting with 17-inch front wheels. Because 19 and 18s were a little bit too slow, and 16s were just too twitchy and quick. and they found that these 17s was just a really nice compromise. When the CBRs first came out, they actually had a race series creatively called the CBR600 series, and you couldn't modify the bikes, so then it was just down to the skill of the racer, and they proved themselves. The bikes were excellent, and they were also very successful on the Isle of Man, and the rest is history, as you know, because they came out with many other carnations came out with many other flowers of the CBR600. So that's all there is to talk about, really. As you'll probably notice, most of my classic bikes are actually Hondas. I just find that I just gel with Hondas. I think they're beautiful, the design on them, and they're usually class leading. See you soon.